So Karen just gave me the honey-do list for today, which is going to make a lot of things an easy decision. I will not have a big enough gap in time to ride, so I looked at my list, and the next thing I want to do is on the FZR. I have to play parking attendant again. I'm going to move all the bikes around. I need to pull the FZR out, get it over here, and pull the exhaust system off the bike. Now what I wanted to do today, in my mind I have a vision of how I'd like this to look. The stock look is it has this, like a Triumph side cover of the muffler. I was thinking maybe I could replicate that look, and I wanted to polish the end caps and the mid pipe. So I didn't want to take it off the bike and just do it in a haphazard way. I need to set up down in the shop where I haven't done a lot of work this summer. I need to set it up. I want to do this, and I want to use my little, I'm going to hopefully find a use for that little Dremel tool that we bought, the fake Harbor Tool Dremel tool. And if it doesn't rain today, it's not a great day. If it doesn't rain, I can take it outside, do some buffing outside just to get out in the fresh air. Anyway, it'll be like every day. It will not be Groundhog Day. It'll be polishing the Groundhog Day here. But first step on any of these jobs is just playing parking lot attendant. That's so much fun too. Start off the day by moving cars in the parking lot. And it's always a great way to start the day. Check out the weather. It does not look like a bright sunny day here. I'm not sure if it's going to rain or not, but being a parking lot attendant, so much fun. Now with the bikes in position, I'll be ready to move this on right after I have my coffee and feed the barnyard animals. They look hungry this morning. Yeah. What's the harvest look like today? Are we in tomato mode? Let's see what we got.
Not so great.
Listen, even farms have good days and bad days. But the fish always eat plenty. They're like me. Karen's garden has just been, every day it just gets nicer and nicer. We really do enjoy our perp walk every morning here before starting the day's work or ride. And because of the really hot weather and we've been watering every morning, everything's growing like we're in a jungle here. And thanks to Nanda Navola, we have become zinnia farmers. Thank you, Nanda. Hard to believe how some of these zinnias have just taken over our whole backyard. They are really, every one is different too. Oh, the birds are hungry, the fish is hungry. I need my coffee. Oh yeah, boys. Great way to start the day before we get to work. To be honest, not much happens in the Artnowski household without that early morning coffee. All right, back out to the shop. Maybe it's good we didn't go plan a ride today. Look at it looks like a storm is rolling in unexpectedly. That's why I always have to, I try to have anyway, some shop projects going on days that you're, well, time is short or the weather's bad, and today looks like both. All right, next thing is to pull that muffler off. We have one bolt and one bolt underneath, and that whole thing should come right off. And that's the whole idea of this, is when we want to switch back to the Norton setup, we want to evil twin it out and make some noise. 2 bolts, it's off. 2 bolts, it's on. Now doing this dry fit and doing the test on this to make sure all the clamps were sealing, now I know that I can do what should be, I can get this done in one day, one session I hope, and get the finish I want on this, bolt it up permanently, and then wait for an appropriate day and get a real test ride, which of course is always the best part of any one of these projects. We'll probably replace this with a different bolt. I don't know yet, but I have extra spacers. Let's see if this is gonna, oh, that came right off, beautiful. Hey, that's what I like. Okay, so this one is, and I've got to get the mid pipe off. This will be ready. Take down to the shop and see if we can get the finish we want on this, and that can vary. And I can experiment on the back where you're really not going to see it, but of course I want to do the whole muffler. So these are the parts we're going to work on down in the shop, and there definitely are some scars on that aluminum. I'd like to make them as good as I can. In the mid pipe, I like to do a little polishing on that and clean up the clamps, and then hopefully by the end of the day have this all back on the bike, test run it, and be ready for a test ride. So the first thing, just to get in the mood to do this, I want to run this over on a buffing wheel. Just try to clean this up a little bit. You don't really see this except for one edge, but I like it to be like everything I try to do, that it's just nicer to work on stuff that's nice and clean, not old and rusty. Now we got our full supply of rouges here, and usually, there we go. Usually it's the black that'll do the biggest cutting job, and we want to, well, I got white too, and we'll finish it up with white. So what I wanted to show is just how quickly, it's only a matter of a minute or so, we can have the clamp looking a lot nicer. I think that adds a nice little dimension to the project. And I always think it's the little details like polishing the bolt ends or the clamps or something small, the little details that make the job just a little nicer. Now the forward clamp has a little corrosion and rust on it, and we want to try. I like to just clean it up for my own benefit. Even though this is, you only see one side of it, it's nicer if you can just clean the whole thing up while I have it apart. And the funny thing about any of these things, it only takes a few minutes, and you're working with nice clean stuff. Now the mid pipe has some scratches and gouges and corrosion, and I want to leave it rough here so the clamps get a better grip on it. They'll get a better grip if the last little bit is rough, but I do want to polish up this mid part, which you will see. And to get some of these gouges out, I'm going to try to do some of it with 2000 grit sandpaper, wet and dry. Now the reason I'm starting with 2000 grit, I don't want to get any scratches in there that are going to give me an abnormal amount of time on a buffing wheel. I don't want to spend, because getting them out on a buffing wheel is going to be really difficult. Normally what you would do, you'd start with a rougher grade, then go finer, 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 and wind up with 2000. But I want to see how deep those little scratches and gouges are. So this will just be for my own little education, just to see how sometimes these scratches are not that deep, but you never really can tell until you start working on a part. Let's see if that's an ordinary soft nail file, 2000 grit paper, and I just want to do the scratches, and let's see how that comes out. And sometimes they come out relatively quickly, and sometimes they don't, so we're just going to have to spend a little time. Now that's the reason I dedicate a whole day to this. I try to divide up projects so I have dedicated time. I don't want to be in the middle of this and say, oh, well, the sun came out, I'm going for a ride. I'd like to start the job, finish the job in one session if possible. And in this case, well, this is the mid pipe. It took us basically a whole day to figure out the exact shape and size and cut and finish. And so to have this part, what happens, you just can't go buy it in a store. You've got to kind of fudge it and make it and whatever. So, and it looks like they are coming out pretty quick. So I'll mention another little thing. Due to the coronavirus, we can't locally get Bounty paper towels, and these replacement, whatever brand they are toilet paper. Boy, do I miss my Bounty paper towels. Holy mackerel, for doing fine finishing. Okay, so it looks like we got 90% of it out, but we still want to do a little more. There's no point in letting the camera on. I want to get those little dents, as much of it out as I possibly can. So now with that part, I got as much of the deep scratches out. I'm going to try to get the rest of that out with the buffing wheel, starting with black compound, then red, and then white. Hopefully get that. This is the side you're basically going to see. I want to put most of the time into that side, but I do want the whole part to be polished. So I wanted to get some idea how quickly it looks like that's going to polish up real nice. It's just going to be time consuming. That'll be just a time consuming job, but we'll get it done. So this part's actually cleaned up pretty nice. I'm satisfied with that, and we're ready to move on to the muffler. The first thing I want to do is take some 2000 grit paper. There's a couple of small scratches and a couple of big ones, and this is the side of the pipe you're going to see. So I'd like this to be as nice as possible. And it shouldn't take long. And get this over by the buffing wheel. Now once this piece is done, then I want to work on the end caps, and I'm saving the last thing because I want to experiment with some different material for doing the finishes to try to get that soft, I don't know what I'll call it, like Triumph side cover finish. I don't know what the real word is. But this dulls up the pipe nicely and gets most of them out. Oh, these paper towels are like toilet paper. Give me back my bounty. Yeah, most of them came. That one didn't come out, so I'm going to work on that a little bit more. But I don't want to use any heavier grit because I don't want to induce any really deep scratches in this. This is a part of the pipe you'll see. If this were in the back, I wouldn't get too worried about it. But this fascia, this side, we will see, and I do want it to be nice. And if you start doing this with 400 grit paper or something, you're going to put scratches in here. Basically, you're going to be over by the polishing wheel an hour to get them out. So this way, if we're only using 2000, there'll be a little more elbow grease here, but a little less time at the wheel. And little by little, it's coming out. All of these things just take time. And what I want to do at the end of this whole polishing operation is put a coat of flitz on everything. And that usually puts a really nice 6 months of protection on it too. And this is where it starts to get time consuming. Detailing out, trying to get every little spot out, every little scratch we can. These are even parts of this, you're not going to see this side against the motorcycle, but I do want to have it. Now once this pipe is done, then I want to start seeing what I want to do with these end caps. And I'm saving the main part for last, because I don't really know what I want to do with that last part. Yeah, that certainly is better than when it arrived in the mail. Yeah, that's going to work out fine. Now, next thing I want to look at is what I'm going to do to get these. Now, I have a lot of choices. I can polish them, I can paint them, basically, or I could just leave them. I don't want to just leave them. And then the last thing is I want to get that, what I want to do, I want to see, I got a couple of experiments to do, see what kind of finish I want to leave on this. Again, I'm looking to try to make it look like a Triumph side case. Okay, so we're faced with the dilemma here. There's a coating on here. These look like they're aluminum parts. They have a coating, and buffing through the coating is a very labor-intensive thing. I would like to get that coating off. And I can see, and this is just exactly what you run into if you try to buff out a GS Suzuki side cover. There's a coating on it. In this case, it's silver. Usually it's clear. And of course, this is high heat paint. This is not ordinary car paint. So I'm going to try just, if it's my lucky day, put a little paint remover on this and try to let it sit and take that off. Because getting that finish off, by the time I get it off, it'll be very, very time consuming. So, and I have to do the back piece too. And so once I get that coating off, these parts will buff up a lot easier, a lot quicker. Let me just do a little experiment with paint remover and see if that, I don't think it's going to put a dent in it because this is that high heat paint. Now you might remember a while back we bought all these little buffing things off Amazon. In fact, I have a whole tray of them now for this, what I call the fake Dremel tool. This is the Harbor Freight one, of course. And what I did, and this is really good information if you're looking to do a similar project, I think this would work on the Suzuki side covers that have that coating, because acetone didn't put a dent in this, paint remover didn't put a dent in it, but I want to show how you can get that off. And if you're polishing a side cover or a drum brake or something that's got that coating on it, especially if it's a detail part. Now in this case, it's just going to be a little time consuming, but look what happens. Now, and another thing, it does not put giant scratches in. If you were to take a wire wheel or something, and let's see what speed, we're on speed 3. I think you can see it's only a matter of time and I'll have all of this off. And then it's a question of seeing if we can, and I'm sure the buffing wheel will buff this, because the green pad, and I think the green ones will be fine. I'm not sure, I don't need to experiment. This is working good just the way it is. Now, I've got to go around the whole band and do up around here. But the good thing is this does not put heavy scratches in the material. So this should buff out. Run over to the buffing wheel and I'll just do a little test here to satisfy myself. But this tool has been so useful, and I'm ready to go buy 2 or 3 extra ones, because every time I find a tool that I like, they discontinue it. Okay, so that's the part we just did with that little Dremel tool. And usually when they make these caps, they're made out of just pretty soft aluminum anyway. They don't have to machine them. Let's just see if that buffs up. That'll be a big time saving, and I always like to try to avoid using paint remover if possible. And I wanted to do one in real time. I don't know if you can see that. In real time, that's the ticket. That is good information. It's worth watching this whole boring video. Pick up a tip like that. So now it's just going to be that old labor of love thing. Get all the finish off of this, all the finish off of that, and buff these end caps. And I can see I can get a certain amount of this with the buffing wheel, and the detailing part of it, I'll have to put the little buffing wheel in a little Dremel tool. But that was a really good tip. That really made this day a lot easier. Now there's the magic that'll help you get through any big boring labor of love project like this. That works every time. And whenever Karen knows I'm grinding away down here, she graciously just brings me a nice strong cup of coffee. Thank you, Karen. Well, this is really, the only thing left to do here is to polish up the end piece. That should be a little easier because I can get at it a lot easier. This was a little bit difficult to do because I didn't want to run this up against the grindstone there. And that cleaned up nice. And the last piece is this end. This of course will be a little bit easier to get over at the buffing wheel. Yeah, I'm real happy the way that played out. That was definitely good. You know, this is really dirty, filthy work. But when you're done, you know, soap in a shower, and it's over. And then you still have this part, basically, for the rest of your life. For the rest of your life. It's like a tattoo. You have it forever. Now the next step on this is I've got to take a little Gorilla Tape or some blue tape, I'm not sure what. I want to mask this off because then I want to start experimenting with the finish on the back of this where it won't be that obvious. I want to see how to make that. Again, I don't know what I want until I see it, but I have several choices here, and I have every grade of sandpaper and every grade of steel wool they make. And sooner or later I'll find something that I'm kind of happy with. So the next step is to clean this with acetone and clean up along the edge of the tape. I've got the back of the part to experiment on. There's a couple of scars and I don't know if I can get them totally out. That dent's not coming out, but that's on the bottom, so I guess we're pretty lucky here. That where we're going to see it, I think, is relatively clean. But if we do see that when we put it back on, we'll spend some more time. This I would definitely not see. So apparently the gentleman that owned this before had been a little rough on equipment, I guess is the right word. Or he dumped the bike. So the first thing is we have one of these 3M pads that's used. It's called Scotch-Brite. I don't know if this is going to give me what I want. I'm going to have to do a little experiment. And if not, I already did 2000 grit sandpaper. That leaves scratches, so it's got to be something less than 2000 grit. Now, if you've seen any of the modern Triumphs, the ones that are, I don't know how many years, but I do like the look of how they treat the side covers, and it's a, I don't know how you would even describe it. It's like a soft brushed aluminum look, and I wanted to try to replicate that if I could. Of course, whether I can is all debatable. Well, let's see what that looks like. So that is one choice we have. Now, another choice, and it's always something I always like to look at, is just plain old SOS pads. Do another spot here, so I can kind of compare, go back and forth. Now, originally, one of the things I thought of originally, but I put it out of my mind, is I was going to polish the whole muffler. And I thought, just going to be a little bit over the top then. I would like this to be kind of a soft brushed look, but I don't know what these final finishes look like. Now that's deeper than that. That looks to me better. That looks better. So we can abandon, I've got rougher steel wool without soap. Let's try one of those. See what that looks like. Yeah, the steel wool puts, I think, a nicer, well, I guess we're going to find out here. See, I'm trying to make it not look, I want it to have that brushed look. But anyway, I do have some other choices here. I have the green Scotch-Brite too. But it looks like the Scotch-Brite, now I don't know if I could, see if I can push this down. If I'm going to look at this and see the scratches in it, I don't know. See, I've taken it out in the sunlight and it's raining. It was raining out there 20 minutes ago, so. Now it looks like this could work. Yeah, this is definitely better than the alternative here. So anyway, I'm going to fiddle around with this and decide. I guess I have to decide right now which finish is going to be the one I want. Maybe another cup of coffee would help me. In the course of doing this, I wanted to do a little experiment. Don't know if this is going to be of any value, but all of these pads have different downsides to them, and I'm not sure that I'm ever going to get what I want. But what happens is the 2000 grit paper, if you can get the scratches to all orient in the same direction, I think that'll be fine. Now, what I'm going to do, let's see if it's my lucky day here. I'm going to try this just as an experiment because I do like the look of the 2000 grit scratches. And what I wanted to do, see, when you're experimenting, you never know what's going to work. The problem is, and sometimes something really crazy works, and stuff that is supposed to work perfectly doesn't work at all. So let's see if this works. And of course we'll have it on video one way or another. I'm doing it on the back where you basically, if I don't like it, it's easy to undo. So this was my idea. I don't want to have the scratches go in all different directions. So maybe what I'm going to have to do, I can do it wet, I can do it dry. Now the 2000 grit still leaves scratches, so it could be that this is not, I gotta hold it with one hand. It could be I'm going to have to work on this for a while to get it down. But one good thing about this is, if I want to clean it, if it gets all full of road grime after a while, I can just make myself up another little shoe shine belt. Yeah, this looks like it's going to be okay. But again, I'm not gonna give up on this until I'm actually happy with it. This is, yeah, see what's gonna happen. I'm gonna have to use it wet. It's leaving more scratches than I want. Oh, I don't know. Let's see if it's wet. It's wet. If it's, be nice if you had a helper here to help hold it. Yeah, I'm not sure about that either. All right, I'm going to look at how that looks, and I'm going to see what else. Well, we got other choices here. I even tried the sponge. If I can get the idea is to get all the scratches going in the same direction. That'll be the answer. To be honest, I've been experimenting with everything I have in the shop, and I haven't found anything I'm in love with yet. I got this. There's a special 3M pad thing that I bought for doing Vince's wheels, and then he decided not to do the wheels, so I'm not sure this is going to be of any value, but I want to try everything. Now, I'm not sure. Again, I'm not sure because I don't know. Yep, see, this would be a perfect thing. I have a sandblaster, but I don't have the real fine sand like glass beads. Get this glass beaded. The only problem with glass beading something is when it gets greasy and dirty, you can't clean it real easily. I was hoping I'd come up with something better than that. But so far, this looks like the best of a lot of bad actors. So to be perfectly honest, and I brought Karen down here and had her look at it, and I was not happy with any of the things, any of the ones, because as soon as the scratches get a little bit out of whack, or if you're doing that shoe shine thing and you try to move it a little bit, you can see the line. So she brought up a good point. She says, why don't you just polish it and be done with it? So it looks like that's where I'm headed. That was not my first choice, by the way. Now again, this wasn't my first choice, but now that I think about it, this will be a lot easier to clean. And you know, I always trust Karen's opinion. I did not like the look of the scratches, no matter what I did. I may need to use the Dremel tool up in here because the pads don't get into these corners, or I have to do it by hand. But just finalizing this up, and we're ready to put it back on a motorcycle pretty soon. Some of the little spots you can't get to with the big buffing wheels. This is really handy. We never run out of finding things for this tool. Well, one big benefit is this will be easier to keep the road grime off of it. Keep it clean. It'll be very easy to just run a polisher over it every once in a while. And the more I think about that brushed finish, well, I wasn't happy with any of them. And I guess the lesson is when you're not happy, just do what you're happy with. And I think we're going to be happy with this. Time to go put it back on the bike. All right, what do you think, Car?
Oh my God, it's so shiny.
It's nice and shiny?
Beautiful.
Okay, that's what I like to hear, a happy wife.
You did a great job.
Yes, it's a labor of love. Everything I do is a labor of love. Should be a relatively straightforward job. Put it all back in. Oh boy, this was a long day, but so worth it. And I think maybe in the end, having it polished would have been better. We're gonna find out. I'm spoiled. I forgot how hot it was in this garage, and we will be ready to very shortly get it. Pretty much ready for a test ride. Nice, this is all rubber mounted now, use the original bushings. Nice. I think it's a real nice installation. That's just about as good as it gets. Beautiful. Actually, it matches, so even though it wasn't my first choice, I'm happy with it. So another evil twin project bites the dust. Boy, I feel good about this. It is really hot out in this garage. Wow, did it get hot. Anyway, I don't want to end the video without thanking all the healthcare workers. Guys, thank you so much. I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. I have an upcoming health visit this afternoon, and with Karen, of course, and I make sure I always thank the people, even the people at the desk, for wearing a mask all day long and toughing this whole thing out. Thank you one and all. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the video. There were a couple of good tips on there, and I think this part, I didn't plan on this being polished. I was thinking I'd be able to replicate like a brushed aluminum finish. Well, I guess I wasn't that successful at it, but I do like the way it looks with the polished finish. And it'll be a lot easier to keep the road grime off and the slime and the aliens and everything. Every time you drive through a puddle, it makes you crazy. The muffler and the back wheel, the first thing get dirty. Anyway, thank you for watching the video. I enjoy making them. Hope you enjoy watching them. And thanks so much for watching.